Marion offense.
And for the Hoosiers, Trey Galloway back in the starting lineup after missing Sunday's exhibition.
Yeah, Trey Galloway had to step up in a lot of ways last year. This year, you'll get to see him in somewhat of a different role, but he is one of those veteran captains on this squad. Him, alongside Miles Rice, were the ones to make that trip up to Chicago earlier in the offseason, representing Indiana at Big Ten Media Days. But Trey Galloway now, hopefully they can get him back to 100% health, because he is a very, very big part of this squad.
So it's Indiana men's basketball on Big Ten Plus. As the Hoosiers get in their final huddle. They got that 4-point win in the exhibition on Sunday, but I think they want to wrinkle things out a little bit and be a little bit better offensively, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll also get to see some of the different lineups that Mike Woodson could potentially be testing out for the rest of the season. But like you mentioned, Mike Woodson said that they were very good offensively. They just needed to clean things up on the offensive side of the ball, and that's what they're going to try to do here today against Marion.
So we are just about ready to go as Umar Ballo will tip off for Indiana, winning the tip over Gavin Foe, and the Hoosiers start it off. Washington State transfer Miles Rice sets up the offense. Here we see Ballo with it into Malik Renew, who sheds a defender and scores.
And that's the size of Indiana having huge implications on that first play. Malik was just able to move around Gavin Foe pretty easily for the first bucket.
Here is Foe with the basketball over to Gus Etchison, who they left open. He's off target, and Renew grabs the board. Streaking down the court comes Rice, and Mbako in the corner for three. He hits.
Just 2 plays into this game, 2 possessions, I should say, for Indiana, and you already see the quickness that they possess this upcoming season.
Dylan Moles working against Galloway. They find Etchison, who has Malik Renew on the switch. Etchison looking for space, back up to Luke Carroll. Aiden Franks loses his defender, steps inside for the 17-footer and drills it.
Great pump fake. He was able to create space, just move up a couple of feet in front of him. Really good shot selection by Franks.
This IU team has talked about playing faster this season. We just saw that on the Mbako three. Now they set up the offense. This time it's Renew to Ballo, and he flushes it.
You're going to be seeing a lot of that this upcoming season for Indiana. Ballo right there at the rim. He's going to be a huge piece moving forward.
Carroll up top, Foe. Back now with Carroll. Luke Carroll gets a shimmy to Malik Renew, well off target on the shot. Here comes Rice in transition again. Renew juggles, corrals, and scores.
And that's the pace that we're talking about. A quick timeout here for Pat Knight and the Marion Knights, but that's what Miles Rice brings to this team, just the ability to move down the floor in a quick fashion.
Miles Rice coming over from Washington State, where he was the freshman of the year in the Pac-12 a season ago, also first team Pac-12, and he is the catalyst, Kevin. And so Indiana with a quick 9-2 lead here, thanks to Rice and Renew in transition here on Big Ten Plus.
Well, Miles Rice is going to be a very good part of this team, just like you were talking about, Zion. I mean, he was an impact player for Washington State last year, and you're expecting him to do the exact same thing this season for Indiana.
Got Rice and Kanan Carlisle, who is actually out with an upper body injury today. Those two coming from the Pac-12. Carlisle from Stanford. Of course, Stanford no longer one of those Pac-12 schools. But yes, Carlisle is out. So is fifth-year guard Anthony Lill. He has a lower body injury for the Hoosiers. Etchison fires out of the break. Doesn't get it to go, and Ballo gets it. And now we see Umar Ballo bring it up the floor for the Hoosiers. Quickly down to Renew. He's unchecked. Transition, Kevin.
Yeah, that's been the main story here in these first 2.5 minutes. And a lot of it has been centered around Malik Renew, who Renew is going to be another very big piece for Indiana, and you already see his improvement from last year.
Moles flat on the three. Corrals back out to Etchison. Etchison matched up with Mackenzie Mbako now. Early 9-point lead for the Hoosiers. Gavin Foe inside, kicked by Renew.
A lot of shots have been falling for Indiana already just in the opening minutes. And I think Marion just has to continue to try to move the ball around, just try to move it around the perimeter to create some space, because Indiana does have that size advantage, so you got to find gaps whenever you can.
Etchison with some space, and Moles is open, and he drains it. Dylan Moles, 4 points a game last season.
That's what happens when you are able to move the ball around. You saw it from the left wing, moved it all over to the right wing, so a very good possession for Marion.
Now this looks like a 1-3-1 type of zone from the Knights. Mbako gets a good look out of it, can't hit that time, and Moles brings it in the corner. Moles to Etchison. Etchison working to get his shot off at 5'11". He dumps it off to Foe, rejected by Renew. Renew kind of threw that into no man's land, and Aiden Franks comes away with it from Marion. Franks back to Moles. Now to Gus Etchison. Franks will fire over Malik Renew. That one a tad too strong, and here comes Trey Galloway looking to make his impact. And Baco now slows it down and will find his guard, Galloway. The zone is interesting right now, Kevin.
Yeah, they're trying to slow Indiana down as much as they can, just kind of sort of coming at them at spurts. And you see right there, I mean, it was able to work. If you're able to slow down the game a little bit, maybe create some more contact, you're giving yourself a better chance.
Pat Knight told us earlier this week that he was going to use a few different defensive coverages, as he talked about how he really wants this game to benefit both sides in this exhibition. Galloway has that pass taken away by Moles. Moles making an impact early. Thought about a 15-footer. They try to feed it into Foe, and Balo comes away with it. Mbako, one man to beat, and he lays it home.
Right now, all of Indiana's success is coming in transition. They're able to scan the floor rather quickly whenever they get that ball, and so they've done a good job.
Moles misses everything as that ball rolls out of bounds.
He spoke on that impact and really just what was so important to him and the impact that he had from his father off the court. He said that the biggest thing that he's taken away from his father is to do good things for people when nobody is watching. Pat noted his father as the truest form of a person and someone who would always take care of people behind the scenes. And that's part of the role that Pat stepped into following his father's passing, being that strength for everybody around him. Now today, on the one-year anniversary of Knight's passing, he's noting the day as more of a celebration and a joyful day, rather than a sad day, because he knows that the Assembly Hall seats and sidelines will be occupied by the people that his dad loved most. Guys.
Thank you, Audrey. And it's just such a special moment, Kevin, for Pat Knight to be here in the place. He basically grew up in this arena.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a father that is the type of person that Bob Knight was, I mean, you were at Assembly Hall every day of the week. I mean, you basically grew up here. You were probably you spent more time here at Assembly Hall than you did your own house. So that's the type of place that sits in the heart of Pat Knight. So a very, very cool day, and such an honor to be a part of it.
We see Bryson Tucker into the game for IU with the basketball now. And for Pat Knight, he spent the last decade on the West Coast as a scout for the Pacers, being one of their West Coast scouts, as Miles Rice gets the layup. And now he is back into coaching for the first time since 2014, looking to lead this proud Marion program that has had success in the NAIA. Here is his leading scorer, Gus Etchison, kicking it out to Moles. Now Gavin Foe. Foe looking for space in the lane. He dragged that pivot foot.
Yeah, just too much contact there, trying to create as much space as he could, but like you mentioned, moved the other foot, the pivot foot, a little bit too much.
So Rice will bring it back up ahead for the Hoosiers. Already a 10-point lead for IU. Here's Balo going to work. Tucker with the J, he drills it for his first college points for the freshman.
Tucker, you mentioned the only incoming freshman for Indiana this upcoming season. A very good mid-range jumper.
I asked Tucker at Media Day, does he get teased a little bit more as a freshman being the only one? He says no. He says he doesn't really experience much of that teasing or hazing.
Well, when Mike Woodson was asked about Bryson Tucker, he described him as a very mature player, very mature for his age, and you can see that the way he commands himself on the floor.
A strong defensive possession for the Hoosiers, as with the shot clock running down, Aiden Frank steps out of bounds. And that's what really stood out from this Indiana team on Sunday, Kevin, is the offense may need some time to catch up, but defensively, this team looked like they've been playing together for a while.
Yeah, you can see that the work that they were able to do in the summer workouts really paid off, and it is quite refreshing to see. I mean, the past couple of years under Mike Woodson, sometimes the defense has been a little bit spotty, but this year, right now, look, it's only November 1st, but it's looked in a much better spot than it did in the past couple of seasons in the early parts of the year.
Rice trying to set up the offense. Nice spin move by Miles Rice, and he has that pass deflected out by Etchison, 8 on the clock.
To stay on the defense, Zion, a lot of that has to come with just how physical and how much more size they carry this upcoming season.
As we look at the sideline,
when you have a big presence like Ballo and Renew at the 4 and the 5, that's going to do a lot for you defensively.
Renew in the corner for 3, short. Tucker gets the board, but it comes away to Gus Etchison. Etchison takes the midi, left it flat, and here comes Miles Rice. Rice zooming up the floor and finishing with the left hand. That was beautiful.
That's the speed that we're talking about. Without hesitation, he gets to the rim with easy fashion.
Elaj Diallo in the game. He sends it over to Franks. Now Etchison. Back to Diallo. He'll trigger. Off the mark there, and Ballo with another rebound. Does Rice smell blood again? This time he flips it to Mbako. No, but here's Renew on the putback.
Renew using that size to his advantage. That's already his 3rd rebound of the game and his 8th points.
Etchison with another long 2. That one, butter. First points of the game for Gus Etchison. Tucker looking to respond. He does. The mid-range is his spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's just getting to those areas super easily, and another just very fluid motion, very fluid on the release.
At 6'7", he feels like he could probably get that shot off against anybody. And here comes the 5'11", Etchison drawing the foul on Miles Rice.
Etchison doing whatever he can to create space. We've seen him fade away a little bit. That time he attacked towards the rim, kind of near the baseline. But now he'll go to the free throw line.
Back at Assembly Hall, where Indiana leads Marion 27-8 early on in the first half. When we look at Umar Ballo, the Arizona transfer, who is getting a lot of preseason accolades, Kevin.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He was a huge piece for Arizona the past couple seasons, and he was one of the highly touted transfers in the portal this past offseason, and Indiana did whatever they could to bring him here to Bloomington, and you just see how much of a player he's going to be for Mike Woodson this upcoming season. He's going to be a really good piece for this Hoosier squad.
Ballo, the 7-footer, who's played at Gonzaga and Arizona before coming here. Originally from Mali, he moved to Spain to really kickstart his basketball career, then to Mexico, and then, of course, coming to play college hoops in America. Quite the journey.
Yeah, and the accolades speak for themselves. 2-time Pac-12 first-team player, and this upcoming season, a preseason All-Big Ten. team player.
Indiana under Mike Woodson has had a good track record with the big men. Had Trace Jackson-Davis for a couple of seasons. Last year, Khalil Ware was one of the best players in the Big Ten and became a first-round NBA pick. And now Oumar Ballo looking to continue that lineage. And speaking of keeping that lineage up, Malik Renew has been very good so far as he can't get that free throw to fall, but 12 points already for the junior Renew.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and you see just the maturity that he's bringing into this upcoming season.
Right now the Hoosiers playing that small ball that Mike Woodson has talked about a little bit as Renew is at the 5. Gus Etchison tries to sneak a layup through Renew, can't get it to go. Etchison gets it back over to Noah Lovin, and an offensive foul call. As for the first time, we see Ja'Kai Newton enter the game for Indiana. Ja'Kai Newton, the redshirt freshman who redshirted and missed all of last season after he had a knee procedure in the offseason. I'm excited to see him play, Kevin.
Yeah, explosive is the one word you can use to describe Ja'Kai Newton. It's his first time playing a competitive basketball game in a while, but he is a player that Mike Woodson is very excited about.
Bryson Tucker has it now. Feeds it into Langdon Hatton. Another one of those transfers. Hatton with the nifty finish. The Bellarmine transfer gets on the board.
Hatton, the versatile forward, the big man that can spread the floor a little bit. He can play around the rim, but he can also shoot from the perimeter whenever he needs to.
Right now they have him in at the 5 with no other big men on the court. Etchison, sidestep tray, bottom. Gus Etchison, he told us the other day, he shoots that shot to try to get it over taller defenders. That time it worked. Here's Hatton inside the lane, and he has it stripped from him as Noah Lovin fighting for that jump ball. It'll go over to the Knights.
Yeah, Lovin, good effort right there. He was able to tangle himself up against Hatton.
Lovin, one of the many freshmen on this very young Marion team. And Pat Knight really likes him. He told us the other day he's one of the guys that over the last few weeks in practice has kind of separated himself and proved he can play with the upperclassmen.
Yeah, that's the thing with this team. I mean, they're very, very young, a lot of freshmen, not a lot of juniors and seniors, but it'll be an interesting talking point moving forward for Marion.
Etchison with a bit of a heat check. Newton pulls in the rebound. Luke Goody fires from a few feet beyond the arc. It rims out. Here comes Lovin, guarded by Cups. Cups just harassing him on the perimeter.
Cups always known for that pesky defense.
Here's Hayden Nara. Back to Etchison. Shot clock down to 5. Etchison snakes the screen. Etchison knows he has to get it off. The reverse layup drops.
That's just a talented play right there. You're just going at him straight from the rim, a little reverse, and you get the finish.
Bryson Tucker again in the mid-range, doesn't get that one to drop. As Nara gets the board up to Etchison. Etchison for the 3. He hits. Gus Etchison has 11 points.
Now he's feeling it. Now he's getting into a little bit of a groove. Indiana has to do whatever they can to stop number 0 for Marion.
Hatton to Ja'Kai Newton. He looks for his first points in Assembly Hall. Etchison pulls it away. Etchison going quickly, crossing over Cups, looking for another 3. Looked like he had some contact, no call, as Hatton comes away with it. Tucker quickly ahead, into the corner to Cups. Cups for the 2, hits it with the foul. Gabe Cups going right back at Gus Etchison for 2. So Gabe Cups with the chance for a 3-point play.
You see the transfers there for Indiana. Miles Rice, Cannon Carlisle, Luke Goody, Oumar Ballo, Landon Hatton, some of the big pieces that they were able to bring in, a top 5 class that Mike Woodson and the rest of his staff were able to bring. It's just a very good job what they were able to do this past offseason, and it got the attention of a lot of people, not just here in Bloomington, but across the country.
After a disappointing season that ended in the Hoosiers missing the tournament last year, they had to retool. And so they did just that and looking for better results this season, coming in as the number 17 ranked team in the country. Nice pump fake and drive that time by Noah Lovin. Goody to Langdon Hatton. Hatton bounce pass into Cups. What a feed.
A good backdoor cut right there. Excellent execution. And Gabe Cups gets the easy layup.
Moles gets it across, being guarded by Ja'Kai Newton. Now Gavin Foe. Carroll back to Foe. To Lovin. Franks finds some space up top. Off target, and it's Tucker pulling it down. Here comes Goody to Cups. Now Tucker in the corner, thought about a three. Newton thought about taking another. He's stonewalled by Moles. Newton now gets inside, gets the contact and the lay-in.
What a finish. That's just being physical with the basketball going towards the rim. You see he lost control of the ball a little bit, but he was able to get the reverse. And now he got an easy 2 points.
Ja'Kai Newton with his first two in an Indiana uniform, and the Hoosiers doubling up Marion right now, 36-18 here on Big Ten Plus. Indiana has had 10 players enter the game, and 8 of them have scored already. As the ball is really popping around the perimeter, they're working their way inside as well. As Ja'Kai Newton will be shooting free throws out of the break, a free throw I should say, to try to convert on a three-point play. Newton, we detailed it earlier, had a knee surgery last offseason, missed the entire season, still was recovering up until just 5 days ago when he did not play in the exhibition at Tennessee. But he is finally back on the court for his first college action, the Georgia native. Deflects that ball away from Franks, and now it's into Braden Walters' hands as we see Walters for the first time today. Back over to Franks, now it's Moles. Carroll trying to work on Luke Goody. The Lukes going against each other. Goody wins that matchup as Hatton snatches down the rebound. Bryson Tucker backing down for IU. Nice spin move into the corner. Goody for the tray. Left it short. Franks got the rebound. Gavin Foe working against Cups. Now to Moles. Foe pulls up for two and sinks it.
Another really good shot selection right there for Marion, and we've seen the last couple possessions, about the last 5 or 8 possessions, really work in the favor for Marion, now putting up some points.
The Hoosiers trying to work against this IU zone, or excuse me, this Marion zone. As already 20 seconds gone from the shot clock. Here's Ja'Kai Newton just trying to do something with it. He finds Cups, who overcooks the three-pointer, but Hatton gets the board. Newton doubled in the corner to Goody. Right back to Newton, who's open now. But he can't hit the three, and the Foe comes away with it.
Here's where Marion's been taking advantage just on these missed opportunities for Indiana.
As Marion has it with Dylan Moles. Moles crossing over up to Franks. Now Gavin Foe, the offense has really stalled out here on both ends. Franks will try to change that, he can't. As Hatton missed Tucker initially, still fouled him down the court, and Tucker yams it down.
Just a good job of looking down floor. Tucker was already cross half-court line when Hatton was able to get that one, and now another good 2 points for Tucker.
I'll tell you what, Kevin, Bryson Tucker is making a solid first impression here for IU fans.
A very good impression, I would say. I would have 100% agree with you, Zion. Just playing not like a freshman in every way possible, in a good way.
As the basket counts, but then there's a foul down low. So Marion still gets the bucket with Gavin Foe. As the Hoosiers make some substitutions, Miles Rice and Mackenzie Mbako are back into the game as Ja'Kai Newton subs out. I think this is being looked at for a potential hook and hold foul, Kevin.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. All the officials now will go over to the scorer's table and the monitor to get another look of it.
Brian Dorsey, DJ Karstensen, and Amy Bonner are 3 referees for tonight's game. As that hook and hold a few years ago was implemented as a rule in college basketball. If it is indeed a hook and hold, it goes down as a flagrant one. Just trying to keep players safe on their upper body with those calls. And so, no flagrant, it appears, but it will stay a foul on Walters, and the bucket does still count for Gavin Foe.
Now I believe Mike Woodson wants a timeout, and that'll be the case indeed. Indiana will take one right here with 5:05 left.
So Indiana still leading by 16, but their offense has stalled out a little bit as they lead 38-22 with 5 minutes to play here on Big Ten Plus. So both teams have taken a timeout now here in the first half as IU leads Marion by 16. Hoosiers come out in this 2-point guard lineup with Gabe Cupps and Miles Rice on the floor. Here's Mackenzie Mbako up to Rice. Now Cupps. Now Tucker mismatched down low with Langdon Hatton. He swarmed. Cupps open for the 3. Not there, and then Mackenzie Mbako hopped over the back of Hayden Nara.
That's the 10th 3 taken for Indiana now here in the first half, and they're just 1 for 10. Now, we saw similar issues from the perimeter against Tennessee. Now we're seeing that here against the Marion exhibition, something you want to clean up a little bit more if you're Mike Woodson and the Hoosiers.
Reese Butcher enters the game for the first time today for Marion. The Knights are really shuffling through their whole roster. Ballo with the swat. Mbako going quickly the other way. Mbako on the drive, finds Tucker for the long 2. Rattles in, as Tucker just sat there, kind of squatted down to see if that ball would fall. But he hits his 3rd mid-range jumper. He's got 8.
He gave also a look to the IU bench, hoping that one was going to fall through the net, and it did in his favor. But he's been very good so far here in this game.
Frank's trying to shoot one over Tucker, flat on the J. Here's Rice in transition again. Up to Ballo. Now Mackenzie Mbako feeds it to Ballo, who finishes with the left hand. Second bucket today for Umar Ballo.
If Indiana can continue that connection with whoever's on the outside to Ballo inside, that's going to be one of their bread and butters going through the rest of this season.
Dylan Moles with the basketball. We've seen Gus Etchison on the bench for a while for Marion, but he is back at the scorer's table. Franks flips it to Reese Butcher. Now Carroll with the runner. Short that time, but he tracks down his own rebound. Butcher will step into a 3. Off the right rim, that ball loose, and Mbako comes away with it. Here is Rice going too fast for himself and is stripped by Franks. Frank's going to take it right at Umar Ballo. Can't get the touch, and Ballo tipped it out of bounds. So the Hoosiers still ahead by 20 with 2:56 left to play here in the first half on Big Ten Plus.
country at their respective positions. So it'll be interesting to see if they're the ones that win those awards come February, March.
Just the fact that you have those many players on watch list speaks to the depth of this team, speaks to the talent acquisition that Mike Woodson has brought in this season.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest talking points this offseason heading into the start of the year is just now Indiana has depth at all the positions, and now they can play a lot more freely because they can depend on one another and use the talent that they have on this roster.
As Noah Lovin has to take a timeout, I'm not so sure that shouldn't have been a 5-second call, but he could not find someone to inbound to, and so he now has taken Marion's second timeout.
Yeah, and you took a peek over there at the Marion coaches, including Pat Knight, and they were just raising their hands wondering what was going on with that timeout call. So it wasn't really the perfect situation for Marion right there, so they had to use that timeout.
Well, Marion couldn't find somebody to inbound the ball to, but they are sorting their chemistry out, and for more on that, we'll send it to Audrey.
Thanks, guys. Well, something Pat Knight has preached ahead of his first season with Marion is making sure that his team is a team both on and off the court. Something that he's done to enforce that in the offseason is having them over to his house where they find something to discuss together each week as a team. This past week, Knight had his guys read a case study on Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers, which highlighted their work ethic and how elite athletes like them practice, prepare, and think. The purpose that Pat wanted his guys to get from the study is not just for the hard work that needs to be put in on the court, but also for once they get out into the real world. He wants his guys to know that the best athletes weren't born with their abilities. It was the hard work that they put in to make it to their best. And he wants to make sure that his guys are just as prepared on the court as off the court, just like his dad, Bob Knight, did for him and his players. Guys.
Thank you, Audrey. Those are three guys, I would say, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. Pretty successful, I'd say, Kevin.
Pretty good athletes, I would say.
That last foul on Miles Rice late in the clock as Umar Ballo brings in the air ball. Kevin, with this lineup, this starting five back on the court for IU, you have Trey Galloway, who played a lot of point guard last year, in there with Miles Rice, who is like the true point guard as a foul is called down low. I just feel like that makes your offense that much more explosive when you have kind of two point guards on the court.
Yeah, we said it a little bit in the open that Trey Galloway had to take on a much bigger role. You mentioned more of a point guard, number one type of role last year, but now he can move over just in transition to a little bit more of his natural role, to a little bit of the three, and that just adds a lot more versatility to this Indiana offense. And he can also even potentially come off the bench, which depending on the lineups that Mike Woodson's going to use this season, he just gives Indiana, like we mentioned, a lot of depth.
Once again, Kanan Carlisle, who played in the exhibition at Tennessee on Sunday and started with Galloway out. Carlisle today is out with an upper body injury. But you talked about it. Galloway last year averaged nearly 5 assists per game, which was a career high for the man who is now a fifth-year senior. As now he will become the point guard in this lineup with Miles Rice heading to the bench. And we get a lane violation on Marion here. So Bala will get another chance.
Galloway also a career best in points and steals, so that just goes to show you how much of an impact he had last year in his fourth year.
Ballo converts on the second attempt. So the Hoosiers with the 22-point lead with over 2 to play here. Gus Etchison with the ball for Marion. Trying to work off that screen, steps back and finds Butcher. Now into the corner, Foe on the baseline. Can't knock it down, and here comes Renew. Playing a bit of that point forward to bring it up. Down to Ballo, left alone, and they just had to hack him again with Noah Lovin.
And that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier, Zion, is just Malik Renew being able to move the ball down there in transition. Now he runs over to the bench and is talking things back and forth with Calbert Chaney. And it's just, that just is another dimension to his game that we haven't seen by Malik. But that's a very, very good sign if you're an Indiana fan.
I mean, you can tell with Malik Renew, the best form he's been in is coming into this year now as a junior, really growing as a player and just as a conditioned player as well.
Yeah, it's just, I understand it's only been an exhibition and a half, essentially.
Yeah.
But you can already tell the improvement that Malik Renew has had from the offseason and how much he's already grown, and you can only imagine what he's going to look like come the end of this season.
Ballo 0 for 2 at that trip, but Lovin couldn't rip down the rebound. So Indiana will still get a chance to score on this possession. Again, we see Galloway as the point guard of this lineup. Luke Goody, the one reserve, in right now. Scoops it over to Umar Ballo, who scores. You said Goody's not necessarily a point guard. That looked like a point guard pass, Kevin.
Just a small little bounce pass to Ballo, perfectly placed.
Etchison with it for Marion. Defended by Renew. Here it goes, that sidestep. Blocked by Renew. Volleyball tap up to Renew. It's a 3-on-1, and then Bacco puts it down.
What a pass from Galloway, and what a pass from Renew as well to complete the alley-oop, and you get the timeout called. Malik Renew, Mbako, and Galloway all smiling as they dap each other up. A great play for Indiana.
Marion down to their last timeout now as they trail 48-22 with this half winding down. That was just a beautiful transition sequence.
Yeah, I mean, you can replay that in your head as much as you want because that's one of the greatest basketball plays I've seen personally. Just a great play all around.
And I mean, how about Trey Galloway, like you talked about, just that it's like that volleyball, you're setting it up for your teammate to spike it down. That time he was just setting it up for Renew to catch it, but that was a really heady play by him.
Yeah, just the awareness to make that play from all three of those guys. Really good play. I bet you when they go into the locker room after the game, they're going to be talking about that one when they're going home.
So the Hoosiers in full control with this 26-point lead as they're on a 10-0 run. It's been nearly 4 minutes since the Knights scored. As now we look at Reese Butcher to inbound right in front of us. As I said, just one timeout left for the entire game for Marion. They've taken 3 in this first half. Here's Gavin Foe to Noah Lovin. He finds some space, but can't find the bottom of the net. Foe gets the rebound and kicks it to Etchison. Etchison back to Foe. Marion struggling to get inside anywhere. They find Butcher, and Butcher able to knock it down. Butcher, another one of those freshmen out of Indianapolis, went to Brebeuf High School. And he is a solid athlete and somebody who Pat Knight has put into the game here in this first half.
And you saw him slide over to his right in order to create some space on that shot. Very mature approach.
Ballo one-on-one with Josiah Gustin. Out to Mbako for the 3. That one a bit short. Lovin tracks it down momentarily, but Galloway comes up with it and finds Umar Ballo. 2 seconds for Foe to shoot. I don't think he realizes it. He doesn't. As he gets it off and banks it in. That is going to count for the time being, as Gavin Foe did not even realize the clock was winding down at first, but once he did, pulled up and hit.
He was able to get the shot off. I was thinking it. You were the one saying it. He didn't really realize that there was only 3 seconds left, but he got the shot to count, and now it cuts down the lead a little bit more.
The Hoosiers are still ahead by 22 here in Assembly Hall after a beautiful first half performance led by the 2 big men, Malik Renew and Umar Ballo, as IU all over this game against Marion early on.
Yeah, they've looked very good so far, and another name I want to throw in there, just Bryson Tucker. Tucker has been playing very well, 4 for 6 from the field with 8 points.
So now Audrey Marr is courtside with Marion head.
Feel good about themselves after this second half.
Absolutely. As IU with this 50-25 lead, just moments away from the second half. For Marion, outside of Gus Etchison and his 11 points, scoring has been hard to find.
Yeah, Marion, it's coming in spurts. They had about 3 or 4 possessions in the middle of that first half when they were able to get a lot of good buckets. But since then, I mean, it's like you mentioned, aside from Etchison, really nobody's been able to score the ball efficiently.
Zion Brown, Kevin Vera, and Audrey Marr with you here on a Friday evening from Simon Scott Assembly Hall as Indiana takes on Marion in this exhibition. The last exhibition for the Hoosiers after they played at Tennessee on Sunday. They'll get their regular season started here in Assembly Hall on Wednesday against SIU Edwardsville. For Marion, this is their only exhibition of the year, and their season will start on Monday when they go to IU Southeast. The Knights did have a scrimmage, not an exhibition, a close scrimmage against IU South Bend earlier in October. And now both teams gearing up for the real thing.
It's crazy that basketball season's already here, Zion.
I know. I mean, and these fans in Bloomington, maybe not as much excitement around it because they have an undefeated football team to root for.
An undefeated football team that plays tomorrow in East Lansing, and you know, a lot of buzz around that one, but also a good amount of buzz for this IU squad.
Also have the men's soccer squad down the street on 17th Street here in Bloomington, leading Trine at halftime, as that team has clinched at least a share of the Big Ten title.
And in typical fashion has put on an amazing October month.
Just as we saw in the first half, Umar Ballo with a quick bucket to begin half number 2. He's now matched Malik Renew with 12 points. It's a 27-point Hoosier lead as Gavin Foe off the heel that time. Foe, we saw hit that 3 at the buzzer that it did not end up counting to end the first half. Got it off late. Trey Galloway with the rock for the Hoosiers. Galloway still looking for his first points. He feeds to Renew. Back up to Galloway, straight back to Renew. Renew going to work on Foe, and he gets fouled on the ground.
Malik Renew has just done a great job of getting to the basket, and you can see that on another play. I mean, if he's able to do that consistently for Indiana this year, whether that's just creating contact down low and also getting to the line, I mean, it's just these dimensions that he's been able to add to his game that is going to make him such a great piece for Indiana.
Mbako finds Ballo with the jam out of the inbounds play. Kevin, that's one of Mike Woodson and his staff's greatest strengths. Those baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds, they draw those up well.
Yeah, if you're a 5 on this team, and you know those plays are going to be made for you, and they almost always work out for Indiana.
Into the corner, it's Dylan Moles. Etchison to Foe. Foe trying to drive on Renew, and Trey Galloway got his hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, too much reach on that play, and you see him right there after the whistle was blown, just clapped him for frustration. But a good job by Foe to create some contact, slow the game down, go to the line, and get a couple of points.
Galloway always acted defensively, and that time it bit him. Foe, meanwhile, can't convert on the free throw. He shot 73% last year. This Marion squad, we've talked about their youth. They lost 3 of their top 4 scorers from a team that was 23-8 last year under Scott Heady, who departed for the NCAA level, going to UIndy in April, which opened the door for Pat Knight to return to the state of Indiana and take the Marion job. Here's Galloway with his first points of the night. Etchison to Moles. Back to Gus Etchison. Shaking and baking on Renew. Now Hayden Nara. You see Elaj Diallo, the redshirt freshman, starting this half. Over to Etchison. He wanted a foul call, no whistle. Here's Renew. Bounce pass to Miles Rice. Rice with an underhand layup.
Indiana's bigs, both Renew and Ballo, have done a great job of always looking towards the floor to make the extra pass.
Meanwhile, Moles speeds past Malik Renew for the deuce. And we see Marion come back in this 1-3-1 zone. Galloway into the corner with Ballo. Ballo takes it straight to the chest of Nara and draws the whistle.
And when they've gone to that 1-3-1 zone, we saw it earlier in that first half, it caused a little disruption for Indiana, so we'll see how the Hoosiers will respond now that they're seeing it for the second time this game.
Ballo is 2 of 4 at the line this year. Shot just a little under 50% last season at Arizona. That's something that this team would like to see improve this season. He's money on the first free throw that time. Once again, he was all Pac-12 first team, all defense in the conference as well. And Ballo is up to 16 points tonight. Now a 33-point advantage for the Hoosiers. Nara brings it across for Marion. Moles has it against Galloway. Diallo drives on Mbako, has it swatted by Mbako. Mbako comes back in bounds for the rebound, and he had not fully established himself.
Ball's going to go back for Marion, and you called it perfectly, Zion.
Mbako, somebody who they want more defensive activity from this season. Last year as a freshman, it was a bit shaky for him on that end.
Yeah, I mean, he's an offensive first player, but like you mentioned, they want him to be a lot more well-rounded, and he has the size, he has the wingspan to be a very good defensive player. It's just a matter of continuing to get those reps and be a lot more comfortable playing defense at the college level.
He was the Big Ten Rookie of the Year a season ago, averaging a little more than 12 points a game, and he really got a lot better as the season went on.
Yeah, he did. He had somewhat of a slow start to start off his freshman campaign, but towards the end of the year, I mean, it was almost every game he was putting up double-digit points for Indiana, and he had a very good end to his first freshman season and obviously winning co-freshman of the year in the Big Ten Conference.
I believe our officiating crew is reviewing whether or not this clock should be at 20 on the shot clock, as you see in the Mbako 3 from earlier. That is what he does. He is a shooter at heart. The McDonald's All-American, 5-star player that Indiana snagged away late in his recruiting process after he decommitted from Duke late. So they do reset the shot clock to 12, and Malik Renew takes it away. Renew trying to chase it down. This one's coming towards us, Kevin.
Got to be ready, head on a swivel.
As Renew, nice defensive play, but could not keep the ball in bounds. This is a nice catch by whoever that fan was about 3 seats away from you.
Zion, I was ready. I was ready. I squared up to it. Eyes directly on the ball.
Hey, you had 2 pick sixes in our intramural, 2 picks, not pick sixes, 2 interceptions in our intramural flag football game this week.
I did. Let the world know. Let America know.
So Marion keeps possession. Here's Gus Etchison. Weaving around Miles Rice out to Moles. And Moles had his left heel out of bounds.
Marion on offense has been sped up a lot today, and I know it's easier to say than to execute, but I mean, you just maybe potentially got to slow things down a little bit. Try to get some more space and more looks towards the basketball, because Indiana's speeding you up, and it's hard to do that when you're playing a team like this, like the Hoosiers. But Marion maybe potentially slow things down a little bit more to get a few more looks.
Ballo on the baseline, feeds Mbako. Long pass out to Rice. They try to get it back to Ballo, but it's knocked away by Dylan Moles. Now here comes Elaj Diallo, scoops it home over Luke Goody.
Diallo, good finish with the left hand.
Goody finds space on the other end. Still looking for that first 3 as a Hoosier, as Renew cleans it up. Goody still looking for his first point out of these 2 exhibition games, as he is known for being a sharpshooter. Here's Gavin Foe flipping it to Etchison. Etchison trying to drive on Miles Rice. He got a bit too handsy. He doesn't agree with the call. But the call is made, and Indiana leads by 33. As we go to the under.
When visiting in April, Rice was accompanied by his mom and dad. Head coach Mike Woodson and the coaching staff brought Miles and his family to a local Bloomington favorite, Uptown Cafe, for breakfast. And one conversation set the decision in stone for Miles. That conversation was all about their favorite NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys. But it wasn't the constant talk of the Cowboys that made it clear. It was the comfortability that Miles recognized in the moment of the conversation. His decision was made when he saw how Woodson treated him and his family like his own family. He said that Woodson treated him him like a grandson, and that family appeal was the biggest thing for him when making his decision, which was made official the next day. Today, Miles is one of Indiana's captains this season alongside Trey Galloway and is already making his presence known here in Bloomington. Guys.
Thank you, Audrey, as Foe gets the bucket for Marion, and I bet Rice and this IU staff are hoping for a better season than what the Cowboys are having so far. As they set up this offense against the zone, it's Mbako. He'll just launch straight over the contest of Noah Lovin and drill it.
In front of two defenders. That's a difficult shot, but Mbako with his length is able to rise up and get a good look.
Here's Lovin on the other end, guarded by Mbako. Over to Edgerson, now Foe. Foe to Diallo. Diallo with the floater over Ballo. Left it short, and Ballo pulls it away. Rice to Goody for the three. Not there. And then Mbako, a little overzealous, called for the foul. The good thing for Luke Goody is that these stats don't count, right? Yeah. I mean, we have a large sample size, 3 years for him at Illinois, where he was a tremendous shooter, but so far he just hasn't been able to get one to fall in these 2 exhibitions.
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, look, you just got to keep shooting. I mean, they're going to fall down eventually, but he's been getting good looks. They just haven't found the end of the rim.
Speaking of a good look, Dylan Moles converts. A 31-point game as Renew goes unmarked down the floor and throws it down.
Nobody was getting in front of Malik on that one, and Malik, another ferocious slam. He's having an excellent exhibition tonight.
I think it just shows, even in the amount of dunks and the ferocity of these dunks, Kevin, that Malik Renew is in tremendous shape.
Yeah, I mean, you saw last summer how he was able to shed those 15 pounds, completely change his body thanks to Cliff Marshall and the rest of the strength staff for Indiana. But, you know, Malik Renew has really taken on. You just notice when he's on the floor how much more comfortable and mature he's playing. And you get a replay look of that slam dunk by Malik Renew. But really, I mean, again, I said it earlier, Zion, it's only 2 exhibitions into the year, but really, you know, people have to start looking out for Malik Renew this upcoming season.
Meanwhile, Rice was fouled coming up the court for the Hoosiers. And here is Miles Rice with the basketball. He finds Goody again. He'll try again, and this one rolls out. Etchison pushing. Etchison right at Goody. Couldn't get the layup to fall, and now we'll have a jump ball between Rice and Reese Butcher, as possession will stay with the Knights.
Really good effort by Butcher to keep the ball in the possession of the Knights.
Lovin to bring it in. He finds Moles. It's gotten a little hot here in the second half. Now Butcher. They try to find Gus Etchison, but here is Malik Renew again, punishing these rims in Assembly Hall tonight.
Renew's just seeing the basketball really well in this exhibition. Now getting close to 20 points. Malik Renew having a heck of a day.
He's got 18, and Indiana leads by 33 as we get another timeout here with the Hoosiers in command on Big Ten Plus.
Trouble stopping Indiana, mainly because of the size, mainly because of the pace, but it's just all been working for the Hoosiers tonight.
Malik Renew takes a seat for IU as they go to one of those small ball lineups. Quickly, though, Gus Etchison gets inside the paint. A couple Hoosiers tumble, but here they come down the floor. Miles Rice with it, and he flips it back up to Gabe Cups. Rice and Tucker to Rice. They run a bit of a weave. Here comes Luke Goody off the screen. And it's going to be an offensive foul on Umar Ballo as this Indiana bench is devastated. I think they knew Luke Goody is still looking for his first points in that cream and crimson. And that would have been it, Kevin.
Yeah, everybody on the floor for Indiana knew it. Gabe Cubs, Ballo, both smiling while they're looking at Goody. But That was one of those set plays for Indiana that can work so well throughout this season for Luke Goody. That's exactly what they want him to do and put him in that position this upcoming season.
Kevin, you and I were talking earlier today about kind of how big of a threat he is coming off the screens off the ball.
Yeah, you were mentioning to me that he doesn't necessarily always have to be a spot-up shooter just sitting on the outside waiting for a shot. Like you brought it up, the thing that makes him so good is his off-ball movement and how he's able to position himself to not just help himself, but help those on the field as well.
Tremendous find by Miles Rice to Bryson Tucker for the lay-in. Etchison with the left hand banks it home. Here's again Rice zooming up the floor, the alley-oop to Tucker.
It's the scanning of the floor that makes Miles Rice so valuable. I mean, it's one of those things where a point guard just has to instinctively look the second he gets the basketball, and perfect example right there for Miles Rice.
5 assists for Miles Rice so far in this.
A double-double. And look, in this Mike Woodson program and with the talent that's been placed around him, he could be a guy that once again averages a double-double this upcoming college basketball season.
Moss fires right away out of the break, and Noah Lovin tried to track it down but couldn't. Got some spillage over there.
Yeah, I think somebody spilled their Coke or something.
So it'll be Hoosier basketball. Langdon Hatton back into the game for the first time in the second half for IU. As the big man frees up Luke Goody for a moment. Goody looking for Hatton, looking for anything to go to as he's fouled.
Ja'Kai Newton now coming into the game. First time we're seeing him in the second half. Played 6 minutes and 46 seconds in the first 20 minutes.
Top 100 recruit out of Covington, Georgia. Hoosiers are interested to see what they can get from the athletic guard this year. Here's Goody dumping it to Hatton for 2. Again, Kevin, that's just Luke Goody coming off a screen off the ball and making the right play.
Yeah, those are those plays that don't necessarily show up in the box score, but are always showing up in the eyes of your head coach. And it's just, those are winning basketball plays, knowing where to position yourself on the floor and make yourself available for your other teammates to get good shots.
Marion commits the turnover on the other end. And now here's Hatton having to dive to the floor for it. As it comes over to Newton. Hatton, middle of the floor. Finds Tucker. Hatton just fighting for position down low. And he lays it through. He's been impressive, Kevin.
Yeah, Hatton very comfortable. You know, two-time transfer from Bellarmine and then William and Mary. But, you know, he was somewhat one of the later transfer portal pickups for Indiana. But he's using his size, again, his versatility is what allows him to be effective on the floor.
Hatton, like Luke Goody, coming home this year. Ambitious lob attempt, but Tucker still corrals it and lays it in on his second jump.
Tucker's had a couple of those plays right around the rim where he's able to time it up perfectly for a bucket.
Lovin outside to Carroll. Luke Carroll back to Lovin, who fires from 13 feet away. That one flat. Tucker in transition just about gets tackled by Lovin, as he had some words for Lovin and then helps him get off the floor. This is just an odd play as we look at the Tucker, the alley-oop and the layup for him. But he's making an impact here. For more on Bryson Tucker, we'll send you guys to Audrey again.
Thanks, guys. Well, Indiana is known for having its freshmen making an immediate impact. As the sole true freshman on Indiana's roster, Bryson Tucker has exceeded expectations in the offseason. Since he's arrived on campus, Tucker says that he's developed the most strength-wise. He said that he's gained 13 pounds in the offseason, and his focus has been to stay consistent heading into his first collegiate season. At Indiana's annual Hoosier Hysteria, head coach Mike Woodson noted Tucker as a freshman who does not play like a freshman. And he, as well as his coaching staff, are looking forward to seeing what he can do for this Indiana team this season. With former Hoosier Jalen Huchefino and Mackenzie Mbaka winning back-to-back Big Ten Freshman of the Year awards, Bryson Tucker embraces the challenge, and he plans on making it 3 in a row for the Hoosiers this year. Guys.
Thank you, Audrey. As Tucker goes 1 for 2 there, that was called an intentional foul on Noah Lovin, so Indiana will have possession after the free throws. It's a 42-point lead for the Hoosiers. I'm not sure, something being sorted out here before Ja'Kai Newton gets the ball to inbound. He gets it into Tucker. Tucker looking for 3 on this possession, and he knocks down that J. Give him 17 points on the night.
If you're Mike Woodson and you have 2 guys that can sit around the mid-range like a Tucker, like an Mbako, I mean, you are welcoming that every day of the week. You love to see those mid-range jumpers just go down for your guys.
Moles over to Lovin, who hits the reverse.
Good cut. Really good cut and a really good pass.
Newton with it for the Hoosiers. He steps back for a 3. Undercooked that one. And flying in for the rebound is Josiah Gustin. Quickly for the floater is Franks. Lovin fights for the board. Lovin going straight at Ja'Kai Newton and putting him in the spin cycle.
Back-to-back really good plays by Noah Lovin, showing off the spin moves on that one.
You can see why Pat Knight likes this freshman from Jeffersonville, Indiana. Here is Hatton again, rolling to the rim and converting. It's a 42-point lead now for the Hoosiers. We approach 8.5 to play now in the ball game. Franks has it for the Knights. Franks with a runner. And that's called a block on Gabe Cups as he was trying to draw the charge, but instead Aiden Franks will shoot a pair at the line.
Get another look of it. Cups felt like he was in position to take the charge. It'll go down as a blocking foul.
Franks rims out on his first free throw attempt of the night. Last season, he averaged 2 points a game and ended up redshirting last year. Now coming in as a redshirt freshman out of Muncie. Franks off the mark on both. And Gabe Cups quickly over to Ja'Kai Newton. Newton with the dribble move, finding Hatton, as Hatton has just been commanding that lane in this stretch here in the second half.
Yeah, and they were bringing the double team to defend Hatton. The whistle was blown because Hatton was tangled up with who I believe was Noah Lovin, but it's just tough to guard a near 7-footer in that situation.
Hatton's a guy who can stretch the floor as well. We haven't seen him take a 3 tonight, but he has a nice touch from beyond the arc, and now he has a 1-and-1. He earns himself a second free throw. Second attempt from Hatton falls as well. 44-point lead for IU. Franks crosses the timeline for Marion. Flipping it to Gus Etchison. Etchison, awkward shot, barely grazed the backboard. Now up ahead, here's Goody. Goody will try a 3 this time, and he hits it. And he looks back at the crowd as if to say, finally.
All smiles. Finally, that smile breaking out for Luke Goody. You know it has to feel good to sink your first one.
Goody from an IU family. His dad played football here. So did his uncle Trent Green, who had a pretty lengthy NFL career, as that bucket falls for Josiah Gustin. Just whole family pretty much has been Hoosiers. So it has been special for him to return. Will he hit back-to-back? Not that time, as the board ripped away by Foe.
I got to bring it up, Zion. You want to know who was my first Kansas City Chiefs jersey when I was 4 years old?
Was it Trent Green?
It was a number 10
Wow.
Trent Green jersey. I have the picture of it.
Yes, I've seen that, yes.
Exactly.
That is a good pull. Trent Green, one of the best football players to come out of Indiana. And of course, he was the starting quarterback for the Chiefs for a while. Here's Gabe Cupp stepping into the three, and he knocks one down.
You want to see that a little bit more this year from Gabe Cupps, a little bit more play from the perimeter. A lot of the times last year, he had good looks, they just weren't falling. So now if you can get that a little bit more into his arsenal, that's a good sign for Indiana.
Etchison kicks it out to Foe. He can't hit. And here comes Ja'Kai Newton. Newton with the hezzy going straight at Lovin, can't get the bounce. Ball on the ground, Foe has it. Goody sat on him. That's going to be a foul every time. Bit of pushing and shoving down there on the ground. Hoosiers ahead by 45, and Luke Goody got on the board for the first time as a Hoosier, as Kevin let IU bench was feeling it for their teammate.
Yeah, they were happy to see that one fall through for Goody. Embracing his inner Eric Gordon, making that shot.
As now for the first time today for Indiana, we see Jordan Rayford in the game, one of the walk-ons. We also see Dallas James in as well. James coming over this year from South Carolina State. Rayford, the former Air Force player, came to the Hoosiers last year but was out with an injury all season long, and now he is in for IU.
Yeah, we didn't see him at all last year because of that injury. And Dallas James was the final addition to this Hoosier squad, the 13th scholarship player for Mike Woodson and this team.
James commits the foul on the moving screen on his first offensive possession.
James didn't have that much production over at South Carolina State, just 0.8 points. 0.8 points, averaging 0.8 points and 1.3 rebounds in 7.3 minutes of play this past year.
Three ball for Luke Carroll, well too strong. And Cupps has it. Cupps up ahead to James. James swarmed inside, and that'll be a tie-up, staying with the Hoosiers.
You see at the top of the key, Gabe Cupps was just telling him, hey, go straight up with it, throw that down. I mean, you're 7 feet tall. You got the size advantage on everybody, not just on the floor, probably everybody in this stadium. Just go straight to it.
James and Bala both listed at 7 feet tall. So is Jackson Ames, who is battling with an injury and hasn't played tonight for Marion. And there's Luke Goody again. It's a 48-point Hoosier lead. Etchison trying to shake free of Rayford. Here's Franks over to Foe. Back to Dustin, who hits the 15-footer.
Quick release by Gustin, just a little jumper from the free throw line. Another 2 good points for Marion.
Marion back into his zone. Let's see if Tucker in the IU offense can dissect it. Tucker finds space. Too strong on the 3 ball. Etchison, transition, pull up, buries it. Here comes Rayford. To Cupps now. Now Goody throws it up for Tucker, who is able to lay it through.
Another play where Tucker's positioning himself right around the basket and doing a really good job of it.
That man has some serious hops as he comes away with the board. To Goody, he'll fire again. He thought that one was through. It was halfway down and out. Goody started turning around a little bit. That one didn't fall for the Illinois transfer.
Now that bucket for Tucker Zion. He's now leading this team and leading in the game with 19 points.
Tucker and Gus Etchison each have 19. 5 Hoosiers are in double figures. Gets a little behind the back pass to Goody, who feeds it inside to Dallas James. Bench is loving it, seeing some of these guys get their first action in IU uniform as James got fouled trying to bring in the rebound. Hoosiers have hit the century mark. They lead it 100-53 as we enter our last media timeout of the night on Big Ten Plus. Indiana with a 153 lead, and that man is a large reason why Bryson Tucker, 19 points in his debut for the Hoosiers.
Not only those 19 points, Zion, but 9 for 12 from the field has just always been in the correct spot on the floor. And it's impressive to see from the freshman just the maturity he's able to bring. Yes, it's an exhibition, but he's showing a lot of great signs moving forward.
James can't hit the free throw for IU. So Marion comes away with it. Here's Foe with the ball. Over to Gustin. Another one of those mid-range J's. That one misses everything. As the Hoosiers have started to filter in some more walk-ons. You see Jaden Bobette in the game for IU. Jackson Creel in as well. So is Sean Burke. Here's Bobette with the ball. Over to Rayford. Burke. Creel, they swing it around. Rayford will pull up for the jumper and knock it down. It's got to feel good for him, as we talked about, had to miss all of last season.
Yeah, and you see the reaction from the bench, all smiles from his teammates.
Lovin can't put that one home. And here's Rayford again. Into the corner for three, Bobette. Off the mark. Foe pulls it away. Kevin, a game like this should really set up both teams going forward as they start the regular season next week.
Yeah, I mean, it'll put you in a good spot. It'll show you what you need to work on. It'll show you what you also did well. I mean, Indiana did a lot of things well. I mean, we talk about the pace. We talk about using their size. Much better three-point shooting here in this second half. So you can look back at the film of this and look, okay, here's what we did right, here's what we did wrong, and let's just move forward. At the end of the day, this game doesn't count, but this game is used to teach you where you're at in the beginning part of the season.
Rayford streaks down the lane for two. On the other end, Dylan Moles with the tough bucket. And for Pat Knight, once again, trying to set himself up for a successful first season with Marion, as they will start their season at IU Southeast on Monday. James gets stripped by Lovin, and up ahead, the lay-in drops for Jaden Reyna. And with Knight, plenty of support. We talked about it. Spent 10 years as a West Coast scout for the Pacers. I saw Pacers VP of Personnel Ryan Carr in the building. He's behind that Marion bench. There's plenty of love and support from that organization tonight as he re-enters the coaching game. Reyna stepped out of bounds for the Knights.
For Marion, one of the things moving forward in this squad is just the defense. We'll see how good of a defensive team they are going to be. That's what Pat Knight told us earlier in the week that they really want to focus on. He said the offense is going to come. It's going to come as the season keeps going. But defensively, that's what they have to be. They have to be sound defensively because according to not just him, but also Bob Knight, defense is the way you win ball games.
In the past, this team has been really offensively oriented as they averaged 85 a game last year, but they have lost their second, third, and fourth leading scorers from that team, so they may have to change up a little bit this year to be as successful as they were a year ago.
And it'll be you'll probably have a few growing pains at the early part of the year just because of how young this team is. But you're in a good position, and Pat Knight believes in his system. And so Marion now moving forward, starting on Monday, will have a really good chance.
Three-pointer is up and no good for Jackson Creel. And of course, Mike Woodson, who is one of Bob Knight's favorite players, he's the same way. He's always defense first.
Yeah, defense first. And, you know, it's, again, what does it all stem from? It stems from Bob Knight and the way that he taught both his son and Mike Woodson, one of his favorites. That's one thing that Pat Knight was talking about heading into this game, that it's a full circle moment for a lot of different reasons, but it's also a full circle moment just to play against one of Bob Knight's all-time favorite players that he coached, former number 42, Mike Woodson.
Knight got to watch, Bob Knight that is, got to watch Woodson coach this historic program for 2 years before he passed a year ago today, and he showed up here at Assembly Hall and the connected Cook Hall plenty of times in those 2 years and just watched practices and saw one of his favorite players lead this program. As that layup falls for Sean Burke.
Burke gives a little fist bump to the bench as he's running down.
Here's Noah Lovin. Up top for the three, it is drained by Gustin. And there's 15 seconds left, and Pat Knight was still upset about something. I think he wanted his team to press up a little bit. And the Hoosiers will be satisfied with letting this clock run out as they secure a 42-point win in their first game in Assembly Hall this year.
Yeah, solid performance, a great performance rather for Indiana. Really efficient from the field. They'll finish 66%. A lot of shots came down from the three-point arc, and now 32-0 in preseason games. Their fourth straight win against Marion, all four of these games being exhibitions.
And it's just a solid showing all around, really balanced effort for the Hoosiers, who had 5 different players in double figures.
Yeah, and obviously